Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from the Joy 99.7 FM studios, Kokomlemle in Accra, at digital address GA0993341. Also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country, including Pad FM in Damongo, Jubilee FM in Keta, and Sunshine FM in Boko. It's on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, Digibank, Let's Go, SuperSem, Build Your Dream, Telesol 4G, just a touch in this edition.
Papa
Chilling eyewitness accounts from residents of Kaswa Budumburam on how two policemen there were killed in the line of duty. We're all live on the ground as the Inspector General of Police heads to the area to commiserate with the families. Meanwhile, security analyst Dr. Kwesi Ening calls for a review of police operational tactics in combating crime.
The danger that the Ghana Police Service and by extension the society is that we need an open conversation about getting policing back to where it ought to be, providing the logistics.
Also, Upper West Regional NDC demand answers over continued closure of 160-bed Upper West Regional Hospital commissioned 11 days ago by President Akufo-Addo.
There's no work going on there. It was commissioned and immediately closed. So it's an empty, ultra-modern hospital with gates closed.
Meanwhile, a hospital project initiated by the Eswal NDC government at Kumewu in Ashanti region is being taken over by Wheats. We'll bring you details. And with exactly a week to the start of a new academic year, the Ghana Education Service is yet to settle on the requisite books needed for the syllabus following the launch of a new curriculum in April this year.
The textbooks, yes, they are important. They are just backups. Everything has been clearly spelled out. So yes, the textbooks is important, but for now, we think that we can go with the curriculum and the teachers' resource pack.
We have details as parents and bookshop owners lament the unavailability of textbooks on the market. We have sports.
We'll find out what's behind the impressive showing of Ghanaian athletes at the ongoing African Games in Rabat.
We have all that and more coming up here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apau. And police investigators have been searching the homes of suspects picked up in connection of the killing of two policemen in Kaswa Budumburam yesterday. The two were gunned down by the suspects whose identities are not yet known. This afternoon, the Inspector General of Police is heading to the area to commiserate with the families of the deceased. My colleague Maxwell Agbagba is on the ground and he's been speaking to some residents and eyewitnesses about yesterday's incident. One of them is a 13-year-old girl who says they were in their shop when a police vehicle and a private car pulled up around 1 p.m. Listen.
Was no police car, private car be police no bisa papa ni.
Well, she says a police vehicle and then a saloon car actually pulled up here in front of their shop. And a DNC here. Cars number parking one DNC here.
No police nini bo papa nasu.
She says the policeman stepped out of the car and then slapped one of the occupants of the vehicle. One and obo nasu.
Obo driver nasu.
And a DNC here.
Papa Nikazo Ojini Sikawaka Nimno of Faith soon would issue to police unity.
The driver who we are told was slapped by the police officer told the police officer that he wants to take money from his car, but he did not pull out money. He actually went in there and pulled a gun and then subsequently shot the police officer in the head. And
police no I week no boras tonim na moja fini no mu ba no ras tonim na okache ese yen kutu nya say 20 beka na yakutu fridge nechi.
Okay, well, she says that when the police officer was shot in the head, blood started oozing out of his mouth, so he rushed into a shop which is just some meters away from this place, rushed and then entered the shop. What's the police officer and the catcher so munkoto? Well, she says the police officer asked them to go down. I didn't know or catch so munkoto.
Should not person save your life.
in an act of bravery, the police officer who had been shot told the 13-year-old girl and another child who were in the shop that they should go down, otherwise they can be hit by a bullet. In that time, no
yet. Na mini boy ne fi store nim na e ka small boy we na papa ni sambe ra won no yi small boy ni to abontina o san so shoot police ni bio.
Well, she's saying that as the police officer rushed to the shop here, she stepped out, but there was a boy who was inside the shop. The occupants of the vehicle, the driver of the private vehicle, went back and then shot the police officer again whilst he was inside the shop. So at that point, in the end, see Uyana.
No, when Papa Nuka Quatina Nikanim na Mimi Bejina Asena, Miki came some crofom anti Papa New.
You heard there the chilling account of a 13-year-old girl who witnessed the shooting of a police officer at Kaswa Bujumbura. My colleague Maxwell Agbagba has been to the area and joins us on the line. So Maxwell, you were first at the Kaswa police station where the two policemen used to work. What did you find?
Well, morale was very down as the Kaswa Divisional Police Command. You could tell from the facial expression of many of the policemen. Many of them were concealing their teary eyes with dark glasses. Those we saw were gathered in groups discussing the incidents that happened yesterday. I spoke to some of them who said what has happened is beyond the understanding and has never, happened, to anyone very close to them, in places where they have worked. Some people who had come to the police station to report their domestic issues couldn't even get close. Many of them stood in shock with others commiserating with the Kaswa police. At about 10 a.m., a team of police officers, heavily armed, took the suspect from the police station to the crime scene and also to the house of where one of them who stays at Bujumbura MFA.
So speaking of the crime scene, you were also there. You've been speaking to some residents and eyewitnesses. What have they been telling you?
Well, MFA, according to eyewitnesses we've been speaking to, the suspects were driving in a blue unregistered Camry vehicle. They were told that they were stopped by the policemen who were on routine checks on the Kaswa highway. But just when they were stopped, they didn't stop. So the policemen, the two police officers, actually gave them a hot chase. They pulled over some meters around the Bujumbura area in front of a shop. We were told that some altercation happened before the shooting. We can hear one of the eyewitnesses.
Most of our residents, like where I live, have purchased guns, and sometimes you hear people asking, because that is the last resort that people are getting to purchase their own protective stuff. People go out, they don't come late at night. If it's late, you stay out. We just try to be each other's keeper. That is what we do here. Because as I told you, the police themselves are overwhelmed. Within this enclave, there are two police stations. One is at Breku, one is at the Liberia camp. What happened? It's the MDTD came from Kaswa. They mounted a checkpoint on the main Winneba Road. So they are not even from the Breku or the the Liberia camp police stations, because those police stations are already overwhelmed with the kind of things that are going on there in the Liberia camp enclave, in the Fete enclave. It's that bad.
Now, Maxwell, we know that the IGP has set off from Sogakofa this morning to the family house of one of the policemen. You were there. What can you report?
Well, Anava, it's a somber mood here, somber atmosphere. Many of the people here cannot control their tears. In fact, the family spokesperson is unwilling to speak to us. He says the IGP would have to come here first and interact with the family before they can go ahead and interact, with us. The only person who seems quite, unconcerned and oblivious of the severity of the loss is Sergeant Michael Jamesi's son, who, is just walking around, smiling with his friends, his peers, who are also here to commiserate with him. Of course, he does not know what is happening. But all the people here, I can tell you, have had their own share of tears, and they've been crying here.
Well, we also know that the police have been searching the homes of these suspects. Do we have any information on that?
Well, we do not have any information on that. At about 10 a.m., they set off from the Kaswa police station where they took the suspects to their homes. They are unwilling to tell us what information they've gathered or what they picked up, from the residents. We are told that they'll be doing that in subsequent briefings.
Stay on this for us, Maxwell. When the IGP arrives at the family house of Sergeant Jamesi, we'll return to Maxwell Agbagba with more details. Now, let's stay on this a while longer because Director of Academic Affairs and Research at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, Dr. Kwesi Ening, is calling for a review of police operational tactics in combating crime. His comments come as 5 police officers have already been allegedly murdered within the last 30 days. We'll hear from Dr. Ening shortly, but first, here's a report on all these 5 cases that have occurred within a month.
On 30th July 2019, 3 police officers were stationed at the Kumbungu Road checkpoint. At about 8:45 p.m., a saloon car was signaled to stop. It turned out the occupants were armed robbers.
Shots fired, shots fired.
They pulled out their guns, shot and killed one of them, Corporal Agatha Nananabin. 3 weeks later, 37-year-old Corporal Bernard Entry was shot dead by suspected armed robbers. And barely 24 hours after the tragic incident, there was another death. This time, it was Lieutenant Corporal Alhassan Asari who was found lifeless in a plastic chair while on guard duty at a filling station in Achim Tswedru in the eastern region. Reports suggest that 3 empty shells were found on the ground. The latest attack on the police occurred yesterday when robbers shot dead Michael Jamesi and Corporal Awal Mohammed at Budumburam in the central region. One of the officers died instantly, while the other passed away in hospital. Sheer coincidence or a coordinated attack on law enforcement?
Now we can hear from Dr. Kwesi Ening, who has called for military support to deal with the threat on the police.
What is happening is so dangerous, but we have allowed it to slide over time. In the last 5 years, the number of attacks against police officers, their killing against their stations, have just been brushed under the carpet. So much so that an average officer on the beat is not sure whether he or she is going to come from safety. The danger that the Ghana Police Service needs, and by extension, the society, is that we need an open conversation about getting policing back to where it ought to be, providing the logistics. And I found it very interesting this morning, or the last, that they were bragging that they've got 4,000 body armor. This is not information that ought to be put in the public domain. If you've got body armor, now they go for the head. When you lift up arms against representatives of the state, particularly those who wear the uniform, it is no more an ordinary crime. More often than not, it is the military that should come in to respond.
You heard that, Dr. Kwesi Ening. Meanwhile, in the northern regional capital, Tamale, a security conference is underway to come up with ideas on how to tackle the increased crime that has characterized the Tamale and Sanurugu areas for the past 6 months. There have been several armed robberies and murders in the area, heightening insecurity amongst the residents. The conference, under the auspices of the Tamale Metropolitan Assembly, has brought together the security chiefs, opinion leaders, and other stakeholders to dialogue on ways to restore sanity in Tamale and beyond. Let's get on the line and speak to correspondent Martina Bugri. Martina, we understand that Tamale Mayor has pointed to political parties as being partly responsible for the insecurity situation in the area. What more has he been saying?
He's also been blaming chiefs for not supporting his cause to bring sanity to the area. He launched a campaign to ensure discipline in the area, and by so doing, they were arresting people who were smoking and who were going into crime and were hiding in the forest, but he didn't get support from people in the area, and so he's been blaming people for not supporting the cause. But this time he says with this new initiative, he expects everybody to come on board so that they would deal with the security situation in the area. He believes that it is not just an individual affair, it is everybody's stake, and they all need to support the cause in ensuring that there is sanity in the metropolis again.
Martina Bugria, Northern Regional Correspondent. From there, let's head to the Upper West region, because the Upper West branch of the National Democratic Congress says despite the pomp and pageantry displayed during the commissioning of the new 160-bed Upper West Regional Hospital, it is not operational and is close to patients. Addressing a press conference in Wa, Member of Parliament for Dafiama Busi Isa constituency, Dr. Sebastian Sandari, says the people of the region were deceived into believing that the hospital will be operational as soon as it was commissioned. According to him, it's been 11 days since the hospital was commissioned by President Akufo-Addo, and its gates are still closed to patients. Joy News' Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
The press conference held by the Upper West branch of the National Democratic Congress hinged on three issues. Member of Parliament for the Dafiama Isa constituency, Dr. Sebastian Sandare, who addressed the press conference, spoke first on the new Upper West Regional Hospital that was commissioned by President Akufo-Addo 11 days ago, but which is still not operational and, for that matter, closed to the public.
Today, as we speak, the hospital is not in operation. There is no work going on there. It was commissioned and immediately closed. So it's an empty, ultra-modern hospital with gates closed. We cannot be that wicked to ourselves and to the people of the Upper West region. At a time that we have many nurses, midwives, laboratory technicians, doctors, and other professional trained health personnel unemployed in the region and the country at large, why can't we and why couldn't we recruit adequate staff to work in this facility? We cannot accept the reason that they are now doing recruitment.
On the issue of ambulances, Dr. Sandare expressed worry that the region cannot boast of any good ambulance that can transport patients to health facilities in the region or beyond. Currently, all 9 government-owned ambulances in the region are grounded.
It is pathetic that the region cannot boast of any strong ambulance to facilitate timely access to health delivery. If we can play our political games, but we cannot play with the health of the people.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wa.
Rafiq Salam joins us on the line now. So, Rafiq, what have health officials in the region been saying about this?
We spoke to the regional director of the Ghana Health Service in the Upper West region, Dr. Osei Akufo-Afre, and he spoke to us off record, and then he stated that the commissioning that was done 11 days ago by President Akufo-Addo was for the contractors of the project to hand over the facility to government. And so now it's now incumbent on government or the Ghana Health Service for that matter to strategize, put in place measures or put staff at the facility for it to work. And so the commissioning was for them to hand it over to government and not for it to start working immediately.
You heard that, Rafiq Salam. Now, in a separate development, a hospital project initiated by the SWAL NDC government at Kumewu in Ashanti region has been taken over by weeds. It is one of several in the region and other parts of the country built with a $175 million loan whose work has stalled following a change of government. The Kumewu Traditional Council warns continued government neglect of the project could lead to voter apathy in the NPP stronghold. Now, Kumewu Hene Berima Safu Trinebua Kodia II spoke at a council meeting during a courtesy call by Deputy Trades Minister Robert Ahom Kalinse. Nana Asenso-Mensah has more in this report.
The 120-bed capacity Sechere Kumawu District Hospital project consists of a theatre, recovery unit, as well as medical, surgical, and emergency wards. Other projects in the category are cited at Fomina, also in Ashanti region, Sekondi in the Western region, Abetifi in Eastern region, Dodowa in Greater Accra region, and Tempane in Upper East region. Very much Trinebua Kodia wants decisive action by government to protect waste of public resources.
Remind the President, when I came to the Jubilee House, I raised issues about the uncompleted hospital project. He assured me he would address it. All efforts to get government to complete the hospital for my people have proven futile. All that people of Kumewu desire is a hospital. We acknowledge the presence of earth-moving machines on the road for commencement of work, but our main problem is the stalled hospital project, which has been taken over by weeds. The president cites other hospitals at functions but forgets to mention Kumawu Hospital. On 11th July, the health minister came here and promised work would resume 3 weeks from the day of his visit. It's been more than a month since. Nothing has happened.
By July 11th.
The Kumawu wants the NPP government to be prepared for the people's anger if it fails to heed their call. When the president needed power, he came to this palace and begged for our votes. We have poured libation for his good intentions to become a reality.
You heard the Nana Asenso Mensah's report there. Now, the governing NPP has admitted that it's been unable to supply water to every community in 2 years, but says it's delivered on many other promises made to Ghanaians. The Joy News series Dear Nanado highlighted a 2016 promise by then Vice Presidential candidate Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia that the NPP government would ensure no community will have a water problem or a toilet problem. But speaking on the Joy News evening program PM Express, Director of Communications of the NPP, Yao Boabinye Samwa, says certain economic constraints have meant the government realigns its spending.
Clearly, we must situate promises in the context not of quantitative, the numbers only, but in the long-term vision to transform so that everybody has access over time to these opportunities on a sustainable basis. Now, one of the difficulties of our political process is that on the outside, you don't even have access to the internal workings of the economy to realize the real opportunities you have, whether or not there's a fiscal space to do the things you say you're going to do. That's one. Two, we are underestimating the impact of the transition and the immediate short-term things that you come up with. If you promise things that you're going to do, the assumption is that you come in immediately and it all gets done on a global scale. 100% water across the country, all the roads are fixed and all that. But this is a 62-year-old country. We are still battling with some very basic deficits. That's not to say that a government is not responsible for what it promises to deliver to the people.
But Director of Policy Research at the CDD, Dr. Kojo Pumpuni Asante, says political parties must make realistic manifesto promises.
There's a lot of work, and I'm hoping, as I said, we should definitely avoid having this type of manifesto promises going into 2020. I would really encourage the parties to go beyond, and for civil society is our commitment that we have to make sure we focus on outcomes so we can have some real clear measures. And so when government is making its investment, it is very clear as to the theory of change. I'm putting in A, B, C, D with this effect.
You heard the CDD's Kojo Asante. Now we'll take a quick break here on the Midday News. But earlier we heard the chilling eyewitness accounts from residents of Kaswa Budumburam on how 2 policemen there were killed in the line of duty. We'll go live also as the IGP prepares to commiserate with the families. Also, security analyst Dr. Kwesi Enings is calling for a review of police operational tactics in combating crime. When we return from the break, with exactly a week to the start of a new academic year, the Ghana Education Service is yet to settle on the requisite books needed for the syllabus following the launch of a new curriculum in April this year.
The textbooks, yes, they are important. They are just backups. Everything has been clearly spelled out. So yes, the textbooks is important, but for now, we think that we can go with the curriculum and the teacher's resource pack.
Let's go, My name is Kwame Sefakai, and most of you know me as a media personality, but I am also a family man. The UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, saves me so much time by letting me do almost all of my banking transactions on my phone. The cardless withdrawal feature allows me to withdraw cash from any UMB ATM without an ATM card. I can also pay bills, transfer money, request for a loan, invest money, and so much more. So now, I can spend less time at the bank and more time with the ones I love. Bank anywhere and anytime with a UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, and get the time to do what you love most. Download the UMB Speed App from your Android, iOS, or Windows phone today. Call 0302 633 988 for more information. UMB Speed App, Digibank, let's go.
Kremasa, Ghana, so we pay correct medicine pa. And you make us super. Me a super medicine and kasa. Because our job no and better. They won't see how beautiful and high quality your work is. That be what them they use believe you. That be why me too. It be only super cement at the use. Cement mu cement. Cement papa. Intere me cries in from because it's super. Because me the super cement and dimity ra.
Super Cement is designed to ensure that your buildings stand strong for generations. Build with Super Cement. Build your dream. Build.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. Time now for sports. Benedict, what's the latest?
Yes, Semefa, the last few days have been good for Team Ghana in the track and field events at the ongoing African Games in Rabat. Now, just this morning, Grace Obuo, who won bronze in the women's 400 meters, is through to the semi-finals of the women's 200 meters in 23.76 seconds. Martin Owusu entry has also qualified to the men's 200 meters final, that's semi-final, with a time of 20.94 seconds. And after 2 gold medals and a bronze medal in the track and field event for Ghana, athletics coach Samuel Aye, affectionately known as Jollof, gives us an idea of what is been working for Team Ghana at the games.
We have to say thanks to the boys and the girl. It's their effort. We just put them in shape and they did the job. So we have to thank them. You know, we came here, although everybody came here with a purpose, you know, but what I told them was the focus. We have to focus our mind, not the allowance or whatever, but let's focus our mind and let's make good timing. And Ghana athletics, as people are saying that is dying, we want to prove some people that athletics is not dead.
Indeed, athletics is not dead and they are doing very well at the ongoing African Games. Jeff Hammond has made the men's long jump finals tomorrow with a jump of 7.66 meters, and Mohamed Abubakar will be entering with a jump of 7.71 meters. So in all, we've won 8 medals, 2 gold medals, 1 silver and 5 bronze medals. And tonight we'll find out who is the UEFA Player of the Year. Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Virgil van Dijk, as well as the UEFA Champions League draw. Liverpool defending champions will know the group they are in, as well as the other teams. And I know your team Manchester United, but so you know what's going on.
You're rooting for Van Dijk, so we'll go with that. From the track and field though, let's do education, because the Ghana Education Service says it is yet to settle on the requisite books needed for syllabus for the new curriculum for basic school just a week to the start of the new academic year. The Ghana Education Service last April announced a change in policy for basic school pupils that will put a premium on reading, writing, arithmetic and creativity. This meant the GES will develop a training manual for teachers, a change in uniform for junior high school students, and new books for pupils in kindergarten to primary 6. But according to Head of Public Relations of the service, Cassandra Chumampofo, they are still working with the National Council for Curriculum Assessment to procure textbooks for these pupils. We'll hear from the GES shortly, but first listen to some parents and bookshop owners who are frustrated about the unavailability of the approved textbooks on the market.
The new curriculum, we never get it. If new curriculum come to the market like that, but up to now, there's no new curriculum. We miss it. The old curriculum and new curriculum. You don't know what is going.
I want to know whether the textbooks you have.
We can now hear from the Head of Public Relations of the Ghana Education Service, Cassandra Chumampofo, saying although textbooks are not ready, but teachers have been fully equipped to teach the pupils after they were trained.
The curriculum is what influences teaching. And so for our teachers, we have trained them. They've been given the curriculum. The curriculum is even online. And we have also given them the teacher resource packs. And in the teacher resource pack, we have laid down guidelines as to how to teach the lessons. The textbooks, yes, they are important. They are just backups. And so we have seen that, previously teachers tend to rely more on the textbooks and they even forget the curriculum where we have laid down, the steps they have to take to make teaching and learning, the child-centered.
You heard there Cassandra Chum Ampofo. She's the PRO for the Ghana Education Service. But let's stay a while longer on education, this time on abandoned school projects. And you know that the former President Mahama has been speaking about it. The Education Ministry has a statement responding to that. Fifi Kumsing has details. What does it say?
It says it has come to the attention of the Ministry of Education that former President John Dramani Mahama has criticized the government for purportedly abandoning uncompleted community day schools commenced during his tenure. According to news reports, he made these comments during a visit to the Impaha Community Day Senior High School in the Yapei Kusaugu district of the Savannah region and made reference to that school. It appears former President Mahama has been ill-briefed on this matter, and the ministry wishes to clarify as follows. As of December 2016, work on the Impaha Community Day Senior High School was about 55% complete. Physical work on the school was completed mid-July 2019, and technical inspection for handing over was done. The school is ready and available for placement in the 2019-2020 academic year and featured in the choice list for the 2019 BCE candidate. It is therefore incorrect for the former president to state the school has been abandoned. It is also important to note that, contrary to claims by some functionaries of the previous government, President Akufo-Addo's government has not abandoned the Community Day Senior High School project.
Okay, you can read more of that statement on myjoyonline.com, but quickly, Mapit, so what are people talking about on social media?
People are talking about the police patrol that is yet to receive bullet-proof vests, and at Godfrey Appear says, this is good news, but I think that it should not be known to the general public, but that's my opinion. At Obenyao says, hey, Ghana, so for that long police patrol without any protective device, and Joseph here says, bulletproof jackets were long overdue. You wait for harm to be done before you find solutions to the problem. Be proactive leaders.
The Director General of Police Public Affairs yesterday actually stated that provisions are going to be made for the police to get bulletproof jackets. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I am MF Apau. Thanks for your company.